You know, in the world of crypto, we're always talking about decentralization and transparency. But what about privacy? So today, let's dive into a protocol that's designed to solve one of the biggest paradoxes in blockchain. How do you keep your activity private on a public ledger?
So let me ask you something. Is your crypto wallet really private? I mean, you've got a pseudonym, right? That long string of letters and numbers, so you're anonymous. Well, not quite. Just think about it for a second. Every single transaction, every token balance, every NFT you've ever touched, it's all recorded on a public ledger. Anyone can go look it up and analyze it. So yeah, that wallet address might feel anonymous, but it is definitely not private.
And this radical transparency, it's really a double-edged sword. On one hand, it's what gives us all that security and auditability that we love about blockchain. But on the other hand, it creates this huge, glaring privacy problem. I mean, think about it from an institutional perspective. They can't just broadcast every single financial move they make for their competitors to see. That's a total non-starter. And for everyday people like you and me, it leaves this permanent public trail, which makes us vulnerable to being tracked or even targeted. This isn't just about feeling comfortable. It's a real barrier to mainstream adoption.
Okay, so the big question is, how do we get the best of both worlds? How do you get all the benefits of blockchain without basically publishing your bank statements for the world to see? And that's exactly where a protocol called Cloak steps in.
Now, the first thing to get is that Cloak isn't some brand new, separate privacy coin on its own isolated network. Instead, think of it like a privacy layer that you can add on top of existing high-speed blockchains, specifically those in the Antelope ecosystem like EOS.
And this right here is what's so cool about it. It brings that super strong Zcash level shielded privacy, where transactions are totally hidden. But, and this is a big but, it does it without making you give up all the cool stuff you want to do on the blockchain. You can still use smart contracts and any kind of token you want, including your NFTs.
Okay, so let's put this into perspective. How does Cloak actually stack up against the big names in privacy? You've got the giants, right? Zcash and Monero. They're amazing for privacy, but they're kind of stuck in their own little worlds. Cloak takes a totally different approach. It's designed from the ground up to bring that same hardcore privacy to the platforms we already use, supporting all our assets and even working across different blockchains.
So, what's the magic behind all this? How does it actually pull it off? Well, the answer lies in this absolutely fascinating field of cryptography that honestly sounds like it's straight out of science fiction: zero-knowledge proofs.
The team calls the core tech the Zeos Caterpillar Shielded Protocol, and that caterpillar metaphor, it's actually perfect. Your public, totally visible transaction goes into this cryptographic cocoon, and it emerges on the other side completely private and unlinkable, but it's still been verified by the network.
Okay, don't let the fancy name scare you. The idea behind a zero-knowledge proof is actually super simple. Imagine you tell your friend, hey, I have the key to this house, but you don't want to actually show them the key. So what do? You just unlock the door and walk in. See? You proved you had the key without ever revealing the key itself. That's a zero-knowledge proof in a nutshell.
So let's walk through a shielded transaction, step by step. First, your transaction gets encrypted into what's called a secret note. Then, a kind of cryptographic fingerprint of that note is posted publicly, but it doesn't give away any of the details. When you go to spend it, the system releases a unique code called a nullifier, just to make sure you can't spend the same money twice. And finally, that's where the magic happens. A zero-knowledge proof confirms that everything is legitimate, without revealing who sent what, to whom, or how much.
But here's the thing. This tech is so much more than just a way to send crypto privately. It's really a foundational building block for a whole new wave of private, decentralized applications. And this table really nails the difference. On one side, you have your standard account. It's basically an open book for the world to read. But on the other, you've got a Cloak vault. Your public name is replaced with a pseudonymous ID. Your balances and history are totally encrypted. It is, for all intents and purposes, a truly private vault that lives right on the blockchain.
Okay, so you might be wondering, how does my private vault interact with public apps without blowing my cover? The clever solution here is something called auth tokens. The best way to think of them is like a disposable one-time use key. A dApp can use this anonymous token to interact with your funds, but it can never trace it back to your main vault or see your total balance. It's the essential bridge between the private world and the public world.
And once you have that bridge, the possibilities just explode.
I mean, just imagine trading on a DeFi exchange where bots can't see your strategy and front run you, or voting in a DAO based on what you truly believe without any social pressure. You could even have large companies using confidential vaults for things like payroll. Privacy suddenly becomes a feature any developer can just build right into their app.
But the vision here is even bigger than just one blockchain. Because let's be real, for privacy to actually matter, it has to be able to travel with you. So the Antelope ecosystem, where Cloak is built, already has this amazing, trustless way for blockchains to talk to each other. Cloak just plugs right into that. This means you could send a private transaction from one chain to another seamlessly. And the best part? You don't have to rely on those sketchy centralized bridges. It's a huge deal.
And this quote from their white paper just says it all, really. Privacy must not end at chain boundaries. It must travel with the user. Your privacy shouldn't be trapped on a single network. It needs to be a fundamental right you can carry with you all across Web3.
And of course, we gotta talk about the tokenomics, which have a really neat design. So the Cloak token is what you use for gas fees, but here's the cool part. A piece of every single fee gets burned. Forever. What that does is it creates this deflationary loop, where the more people use the network, the scarcer the token becomes.
So this all leads us to one big final thought. For so long, the focus in crypto has been all about building this transparent, decentralized future. What Cloak and protocols like it are proposing is that the next big step is to build a private world right on top of that foundation. What happens when privacy isn't some niche feature, but a simple building block any developer can use? What does finance or gaming or governance look like when your privacy is the default, not the exception? That is the future Cloak is trying to build.